It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Pre-draft visits going on around the NFL and the lead up to the 2022 NFL draft in Vegas in that final weekend of April. Former San Diego State tight end Daniel Bellinger is visiting the Tennessee Titans, according to a report by Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. Bellinger was one of the tight ends down at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. College basketball, Tennessee forward and former five-star prospect, Brandon Huntley Hatfield announced Sunday he will enter the transfer portal. Huntley Hatfield averaged 4 points and 3 rebounds per game in his freshman season. And the Atlanta Braves remain at SunTrust Park after splitting a 4-game series against Cincinnati to open up the season. They will start a 3-game set against Washington tonight. First pitch is at 6:20. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. It's draft season. We're having to shoo Rhett Bryant out of the room.
Man,
and
I
stop
could go
talking
all day.
about prospects.
I go all day.
Hey, man, this
And I want to know. I want to know who's good, who's what.
we need to synchronize our watches, gentlemen. It's 17 days away. 17 days away from the draft. 17 days away, yes. It is Thursday, April 28th. That's when it starts. So you can stay tuned to 104.5 The Zone, and we'll have you covered there.
I'm sure the Titans going to have a draft party, man. Come hook up when Blaine and Mickey. We may do our show there just in person.
But let's do it.
Yeah, let's
Does
do
anybody
that.
ask us?
Yeah. Well, of course.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
good.
they did ask us. Yeah, we'll be there. Come hang out.
All right, well, good.
Yeah,
Count
watch
me in.
this. We'll be in the VIP.
Yeah, of
We'll
course.
get to the Titans draft party, man. Yeah.
Always
Over at the stadium.
VIPs.
Come on.
We
Yeah.
put the P in VIP. So let me get this straight. I missed Thursday and Friday. I was on a little baseball trip.
Oh yeah, man! You got to tell us about that. That's first news, man. How'd that go, man? It looks like the pictures you and the fam had a great time.
Took my son to opening day in St. Louis. Whether or not you're a Cardinals fan, whoever team your team is, you should go to an opening day. It was amazing. It was cold and windy, but man, they won the game, and he ate a hot dog, and his face looked like a crime scene. He got ketchup all over himself, and he ran into Fred Bird, and they introduced all the Hall of Famers and the Clydesdale horses, and it was just a really cool day. And
you didn't get him down there with VP with Pujols?
I did not get him anywhere near Albert Pujols.
Man.
I failed in that regard, but I got a friend who runs a baseball school in St. Louis. If you ever go up there, do you want to hit some baseball lessons, hit me up on social media. I'll send you to my buddy. But he got his confidence pumped up. He played a game Saturday. My son, he was just whacking the ball all over the place. Gave him a couple things. They're like
tips,
sponges. Yeah, gave him a couple tips, and he paid attention. So we got back this weekend. He played his game, watched a little bit of Masters golf, and enjoyed the nice weather yesterday. Let me get this straight. You guys called your shot on Friday. Sounds like you may have called a shot. Did you call the winner of the Masters?
Oh yeah. Well, I I said Tiger would make the cut. And
You
then,
did? And you said he would run out of gas.
Yes, and he eventually did.
And he eventually did.
I just called a little too soon. I probably should have said he was going to make the cut, but I just didn't think he was going to win it. And then I said the number one ranked player at the time, which he still is now, is Scheffler. Actually won it, so I was kind of shocked. I was trying to change my philosophy because Lucas has been dominating us. Well, you've been dominating me too when we pick our picks and everything. So I said I'm gonna have to quit betting with my emotions like a fan, and said now I'm gonna bet like as though I'm betting and I'm betting money on it.
Oh,
that's why I went against Tiger. As much as I wanted him to have success, I just didn't think as a former athlete I just didn't think he was going to be able to overcome all the things and issues he has, and he was going to get weaker as time goes on and then get frustrated. Eventually did. He still looked good. He finished. That was, great achievement, but Scheffler won it.
Do you have the audio from said engagement with the radio audience?
I guess he was working the full Billy Ray Cyrus before he got there.
I'll go with the winner, though. I'm going to go Scheffler. Is that his name?
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler.
Not Bryson DeChambeau.
DeChambeau.
Called it.
Yeah.
We were talking about
that's
Cameron
first
Smith's mullet before that. That was the
Oh,
lead-in.
okay. Yeah, that was
If I would have picked somebody, that's who I would have picked Cameron Smith.
I picked Smith.
Smith, yeah, a lot of people were picking
I went
him.
with the mullet.
His wheels
He did a really
got a
good
little
job,
loose
though.
at the end.
Yeah.
Rory McIlroy almost screwed around and backdoored his way into that thing.
Yeah, I was actually cheering for him.
Scheffler just had an answer for everything down the stretch until he 4-putted. Thank goodness he had the big cushion. I'm like, hey, man, come on, man. Let's everybody's getting a little nervous here. This was on ESPN this morning. 56 days ago, Scheffler was still trying to win his first PGA Tour title. Now he has won 4 of the past 6 events that he has played in.
That guy's living right.
Hey, man. I mean, it's 100 and something people in all these fields, right? The Masters is the smallest field, but it's, 120 guys or something in a tournament field? Somebody will immediately correct me if that's wrong.
Doesn't matter. He got number 1.
This dude's showing up and beating him 4 out of his last 6. And the Masters is a short field, but, I mean, it's just the best of the best of the best. And that dude whipped all of them.
I think this is the first time in my life that the winner of the Masters is younger than me.
What, is he 25?
He's 25, yeah.
Oh.
I know someone that went to high school with him in Dallas.
Golfers that win it at under, 25 or under, right?
Spieth and Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking because golf is always looking for the next Tiger, even though the current Tiger is still the current Tiger, just a beat-up version of himself. So, Spieth had his run, and he hasn't won one in how long? And Rory had his run. I don't think he's won one since, 20? Has he not won one since, 2014? Mm-hmm. He was trying to get his career Grand Slam by winning the Masters. But golf is always kind of looking for that next guy to just take everything and run with it. I don't think you can do that. I think you just have to appreciate this dude right now for what he just did. 4 or 6 and the Masters. And like Lucas said, he's 25 years old.
Wow.
And there was an interview with him afterwards. He said he was a mess on the morning of the tournament. And his wife finally said, snap out of it. And got his mind back on his shoulders. He said he was a mess. Wow. I don't know if I can do this. And he said his wife kind of got him centered and focused. And that dude, every time, because the cool thing about the Masters is, somebody send over a putt and you hear from 3 holes away, and something great happened. And they said that dude, the announcer every time, were like, Scheffler never blinked. No matter what happened, they said it. They asked him
until he missed those putts.
He didn't blink till the end, but now he gave himself space. But they said every time there's a big yell, they ask him about it afterwards, and he's like, "Nope, I decided."
He got the coolest, calm demeanor about it.
That dude was calm.
You know what? I think you would have been a great golfer. Yeah, he's kind of like that. You kind of like that.
Well, but I go H-Town sometimes.
But you would the more and more you play golf. I don't think H-Town Mickey would come into play.
Golfers go H-Town sometimes.
Yeah, that's when
Did somebody throw a club at this one?
At
this Masters?
Yeah, you'll see a club
make faces, say things, when everybody's watching on TV.
But left and right.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it happens. I mean, you play golf. I mean, you're gonna have some issues there at some point in time. But that's cool that his wife is high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
Settling back down, and he says they do everything as a family a lot of the time. So it was pretty cool, man. That was awesome to see him.
That high school has now produced Clayton Kershaw, Matt Stafford, and a Masters champion.
Oh, gosh. Well, every time you see a ball game, there's an over-under of how many times that's going to get mentioned with Kurt. Mm-hmm. They were high school teammates, so I had Scheffler into the deal now if anybody played golf.
One of my buddies went to high school with them down there.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
That's what's crazy because he's 25, and I see he went there. So I texted my friend from Dallas that went to Highland Park. Said, "Did you go to high school with this guy?" He's like, "Yeah, I didn't really know him, but both him and his wife just went to high school down there."
And here's the thing: you win the Masters. That's a career. I mean, let's say he just goes on, becomes a journeyman. Let's say he wins 4 more tournaments the rest of his life. That dude's going to go back to Masters every year and wear the green jacket.
Oh, well, I'm not going to go as far as you say that's a career.
Oh, man, the Masters.
When you win it this young, you want to say how long can you stack it up and continue to be at a high level and play at a high level all the time? Whether you win the tournament or not is one thing, but you got to ask yourself as a golfer, am I playing the best of my ability each and every time we go out there? And you're always in the hunt. That's really what Tiger was before all the, the injuries and everything else. So, yeah, I'm interested to see, because I guess what it was about over the last 5 years, Lucas, it's been a handful of young golfers who've nobody stood out, but you thought they were going to be the next guy, and then it's now kind of rotating to different guys, and I actually kind of like that. I know golf may not like that because they may want one guy to get eyeballs to watch all the tournaments, but I kind of like all the different young guys kind of taking turns and getting their shot of, fame there, if you want to call it that.
I'm kind of like you. And like I said, I was looking before the tournament because I thought, gosh, when was the last time Rory McIlroy won a major? It was 2014. It's the last time he won one. And people thought, okay, this dude, he's gonna be one of the greatest ever. Now, I mean, he's got 2 PGAs, a U.S. Open, and a Masters. He won 4 slams, but none in that long. That's pretty crazy. But this dude, 25 years old, and he knocked it down. Also, a couple sad things. Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. Rest in peace, Gary Brown, former Oilers running back.
Yeah, I did. I got to play with Gary, GB, as we used to call him, my rookie year. He was a 1,000-yard rusher. We had Lorenzo White, who tore both hamstrings getting tackled, like sitting down, and somebody hit him in his back. So then Gary Brown kind of got the opportunity, and at that point in time, kind of took off with it. And, man, he was really, really good in that run and shoot and did really well, and then went on to the Giants. Really great guy, though. I mean, when I say that is, I was, I texted him last year once he got over cancer, whatever year that was. He was still at the Cowboys as a coach. And he was just same old guy, hey, man, what's up, man? Long time no hear. I'm doing great. Glad you checked in with me. But he was a guy who was always very calm demeanor and always had a smile and laughing all the time, and just a joyful guy like that, never was in a, down state. So my prayers go out to his family, as well as to Haskins, which is a crazy ordeal in itself. I think he got hit on a freeway walking. Is that right? My wife actually told me that. I thought he was just in a car wreck.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, he was walking.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my. And then you see some bad tweets, too, so I got some ding-dongs on that. I really didn't want to, but, man, some people kind of tweeted out some things. I'm like, what? And you just should never go away from, the feeling of hurt and pain and everything else, but, you can't then equate that to whatever their career has gone.
Yeah.
You never do that. So that was kind of interesting just to see some of the best of the best to do some of those things. And man, that was very disappointing. But at the same time, that's what happens sometimes. And that was a tough deal, man. Wow. Tough deal.
I knew you had played with GB because we had talked about him before.
I had played with him a couple years, yeah.
He was, you mentioned that. Now, of course, I wasn't his teammate, but I do remember he wasn't the starter. And when like you said,
it was actually like third.
He was
team.
third. I think he was third string,
third
and guys kept getting hurt. And this dude ran for 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he and did it with ease.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now, don't get him wrong. Now he was from Penn State.
Yep.
Starting right back.
No, he was legit.
Right.
Yeah, his background was legit. But when he was one of these guys just needed his chance.
Yeah.
But he had 1,000-yard season with the Oilers, and he had a productive career. He went to the Chargers in between and had like 945 yards in a season for them. Then he went to the Giants and had 1,000 yards with the Giants. But he was almost one of the only people in history to have 1,000 for 3 different teams. Like, that's how good that guy was.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because he was a guy I got to go against a lot, being that he was on pretty much the scout team, if you want to call it that, third team, and I was too as a young player. And he was tough to tackle in that he was so wide.
Yep.
Like, he had the thunderous thighs, he had the big upper body, and broad shoulders, big guns. So he was a guy it was tough, and you could see it in the game. When he got his opportunity, it was the same way. And I was like, man, guys are just kind of sliding off of him, not really taking into account. You better wrap up and take him down. So he was a tough tackle. So, man, my thoughts and prayers go out to both families, man. That's just horrific, man. 52 and, 24? How old was that?
24, 25.
Golly,
yeah,
man, it's tough.
Both of them too young. But I knew you would want to say something about GB. I knew it was your teammate and Haskins as well.
Great dude.
All thinking, we're all thinking about those guys and their families. We need to take a break. When we come back, Teresa Walker is going to join us. She covers the Grizz. Grizz are going to the playoffs. She covers the Preds. Preds are at least right now in the playoff hunt. I know she wants to talk about the NFL. And guess what? We can talk about all that and more coming up next with the lady we call T, Teresa Walker. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. 17 days until the draft. Again, Rhett Bryan in here during the commercial.
You give me chill bumps, man. I get jumped up, man. I get psyched about the draft. Players and all that, man. How good they are and will they have success in the league and measurables and everything else and production. And sometimes production, if you don't have a lot of production, doesn't mean you won't be a more productive player in the National Football League. As we were talking about some Georgia guys who kind of rotated around,
oh my gosh,
but their measurables off the charts. And he was like, hey, man, this guy is going to be a starter in the NFL. I don't know why he didn't have more than 9 sacks over his career. You know, but this dude was 4'5", 6'5". Like, wow, gee.
We just
sometimes I dream.
we were talking about the Georgia defense in the green room today. Their front seven, and not just the 7 who played, like then the 2 guys that backed every one of them up.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Oh, my gosh. Rhett was telling us, they got a guy who never started a game who's going to get drafted. I mean, that's how deep they were.
Yeah.
They were playing a different game than most. They looked like they had 12 people on the field at times, the way they covered everything.
Well, yes, I was all in watching the Tennessee game, and I was really interested to see how this match up because fatigue can make you do different things on defense. And with that no huddle, snapping the ball every 10 seconds, I thought, eventually they were going to break at some point and give up a big play. It just didn't happen. No. They were playing against an NFL defense.
Yeah.
And guess what that dude means? I got that dude. Woo! And they got there in a pissed off way. And I was like, wow, these guys here are flying around like no tomorrow. These are different cats, man. And so basically he's kind of built, the coach is, got 2 deep, just kind of like Alabama, who's probably has more like 3 or 4 deep, So they got guys sitting there biting at the bit just to get out there. Don't get nicked up. Don't play for a week. You may lose your spot.
Oh, no, another NFL guy. Yeah.
You may have to start rotating with the guy.
Nobody rotates with Teresa Walker because she is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Literally, she's in, it seems like a new Hall of Fame every week. Associated Press reporter joins us now. Teresa, there's a bunch of stuff to get to with you, but do you have a current draft crush, like somebody you think, boy, the Titans really need to get this guy?
I have to admit, even though he's recovering from an ACL, the Alabama receiver, Jamison Williams, I mean, I can't help but think what that would do when he's available to an offense that's added Robert Woods, Austin Hooper, to A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill. But, what can I say? Or Treylon Burks, the Arkansas receiver, who's, healthy and would be ready to go from the jump. So, unfortunately, John Robinson's not going to let me in the war room or take my advice.
Oh,
it is funny though. Burks is one of those guys, Teresa, that people don't seem to know what to do with. Like I saw a mock draft where he was 16. I saw one where he was 32. And the people who are in love with him are totally in love with him. But other people are like, he didn't run too fast. And as Blaine points out, put football pads on him, have somebody chase him, and let's see how fast Treylon Burks is.
Look at Jerry Rice.
Yes.
I mean, I had this brief conversation with someone a couple days ago. It's like, he may not have the speed of some of the burners that have been through the NFL, but, he certainly put together a career, that can, for the record books and for the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's the thing. Being fast when the ball snaps is a whole different thing from running a 40 time, when somebody's holding a watch on you.
Yes, absolutely. We never hold a watch on Teresa Walker, though. Always love having her on. She joins Blaine and Mickey right now.
Well, speaking of watches, guys, and ladies, of course, Teresa, do you pay A.J. Brown? Because time's are ticking, sooner or higher later.
Why wouldn't you pay him? I mean, come on, guys. This franchise has been in the state of Tennessee for 25 seasons. And, yes, there was Kevin Dyson, there was Kendall Wright, but to draft a receiver who became a Pro Bowler, I mean, I'll have to double check, but I don't recall Kevin ever being a Pro Bowler. Kendall Wright, he had one great season. And, yes, you'd like to see, a bounce back from A.J. Brown this year, but these guys don't grow on trees. I mean, look how long it took this franchise to get one. I mean, for all the preposterous, chatter that, the Jets wanted to trade for him, well, sure, they might want to trade for him, but why would you give him up? And, guess what? As tight as it's been under the cap this year, gets a little easier next year. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's number won't be, taking up such a huge portion of the cap, but unless they redo it yet again. But the cap's going to go up. And A.J. Brown's a guy you want on your team. I mean, at some point, yeah, you might replace him through the draft, but, he's going into his 4th season. You don't get rid of a guy like that. And, yes, you suck it up and you pay him.
Do you know the range that you would pay him, considering if you take him early, does that make it a little less? Or if you wait down the road, naturally it's going to be higher?
Blaine, the Stephon Diggs price and just drove up the market even more. I mean, the more you wait, the higher the price seems to be going. So, now you would hope that they can find a deal that makes everybody happy. It doesn't break the market. I don't think with his track record that, he's going to be meriting that kind of number, but maybe do a contract so that if he does do as everybody would like, put together, string together 2 or 3, Pro Bowls, and then maybe do a deal then to allow him to maybe max out a little bit and, and pay the guy. But that's where that's where the numbers and the paper can, be worked on, and, voidable years, things like that, so that you can redo a contract to give him what he earns on the field. But, the price just, I think there were some tweets back, after he had a couple great games last season, and people, maybe it was the 49ers game, and people better hurry up and do a deal. Price tag's going up, and it's only gone way up since then. So I don't have a specific number, but it does seem like he's going to be closer to $20 million a year than not.
Well, with Teresa Walker, Hall of Fame writer, I guess one more for me on the Titan side of it, and that is, the Titans were added to the Brian Flores, lawsuit. Just kind of, I know it's still early in the stages, but what were your thoughts on that whole issue?
Blaine and Mickey, I'll be honest, I was surprised that they hadn't joined before. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Wilkes looks at the situation, and, he was the other coach that joined Ray Horton in joining that lawsuit last week. And, Steve Wilkes was the one minority that they that they interviewed in 2018. Think about this. 3 people interviewed for the Titans head coaching job in 2018 over a 5-day period. Mike Vrabel, Matt LaFleur, Steve Wilkes. They hired Mike Vrabel, and Matt LaFleur became his offensive coordinator for 1 year before going to the Packers. It's slightly longer hiring process than in 2016 when they hired John Robinson as GM on a Thursday, interviewed Ray Horton, and concluded that interview by midday on Saturday, 2 days later. And then a few hours after that interview completed, Mike Mularkey was announced as the new head coach. So, I just had been waiting for at least one of those guys to join the fray because, at the time we all kind of said it felt like it was a performative hiring process because it did seem like Mike Mularkey had earned the job. And, the strange thing is that it didn't, when Mike Mularkey spoke to that Steelers podcast in 2020, that it didn't break out more in the headlines then. I was talking with some folks Saturday, and it's like the only thing we can think of is that, pandemic of everything, it just seemed to slip completely under the radar at that point. But, if I'm Ray Horton and I hear what Mike Mularkey said, he certainly has a lot of ammunition at this point for his part of the lawsuit.
Teresa, the great Walker Hall of Fame writer, is with us here on 104.5 The Zone, the Blaine and Mickey Show.
Teresa, where do you stand on the draft a quarterback crowd? Because there are, mock drafts are saying it. Lots of people seem to be kind of warming to the idea if the right guy's available. Where are you on Titans drafting a quarterback at 26?
I just don't. 2 things. I don't see a deep enough pool. I don't see any of the guys that are truly available to be considered in the first round sticking around till 26. And, quarterback, yes, you'd like to have one maybe, but why waste a first-round pick on a quarterback this year when you're picking at 26? Because you'd have to give up draft capital to go up possibly and get one of these guys. The third of that trio, Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis and even Matt Corral seem to be gone. Desmond Ridder, sorry, I covered some Cincinnati-Memphis games, and Desmond Ridder, didn't blow my mind away as a quarterback. This team has other holes to fill on offense, and, they still have Logan Woodside. It's something that could come back to bite you if something happens this year, but that's the NFL. Do you go out and draft somebody, waste that draft capital on somebody to potentially fill a need that you might have in a year Shoot, you could have it in the season opener, you could have it in a year, you could have it in 3 years. It just feels like, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line even, as much as I hate to, think about an offensive lineman in the first round yet again, or a high draft pick in that category. The fact of the matter is you have bigger needs right now than quarterback. You have Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. You have Logan Woodside at the backup. The Titans are not a team in the NFL that need to draft a quarterback. They're not the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shoot, they're not even the Washington Commanders. Yes, Carson Wentz is going to get a lot of money, but let's see how quickly they're back on the quarterback market too.
All right, I'll give you one more Titans question. We're talking about AJ's potential contract. What in the world about Big Jeff? Because that dude is – he has a chance to be the best person at his position in the league, or at least try to be that guy who equals what Aaron Donald is doing. So let's say top 2.
Well, the good thing is you can pick up his 5th-year option early in May, and that buys you some time on that situation. And guess what? This year they cut Julio Jones, Roger Saffold, guys to help create some salary cap space. Last year it was Adoree Jackson and a couple others. Next March it could be somebody else who gets cut to help create some of that cap space to help get that big deal for Jeffrey Simmons. So that's a car payment that doesn't have to be made just yet. So he's going to get a deal, and it's going to have a lot of numbers on it, a lot of zeros, but that's not something that, that's not on the to-do list right now for John Robinson for sure.
All right. Always on our to-do list to call Teresa Walker, who joins us now from the Associated Press at Teresa M. Walker on Twitter.
Well, Teresa, we're going to ask you about the Memphis Grizzlies and getting the number 2 seed, but man, Coach, Jenkins, do you think he should be in the running for Coach of the Year, or how's that process work? Do you have to be number 1?
Well, I know that a lot of people look at Monty Williams of Phoenix and say he should be the Coach of the Year, but didn't they play deep into the season last year? The Phoenix Suns surprised folks last year, and then yes, they're the best team in the NBA this year. They put together an amazing season, but look at the difference in Memphis. Taylor Jenkins in his 3rd season took a team that played their way in a year ago to the number 8 seed. And he has the youngest roster in the NBA this year. I think the average age is 24.4 years of age. And they finished with the 2nd best record in the NBA. Number 2 seed in the West. They've never finished with that highest seed before. They matched the franchise record with 56 wins. And that team went to the 2013 finals. I heard a stat last night on the TNT broadcast that, this team put together an 11-game win streak starting the day after Christmas. And of those teams that had done it prior, like 6 went to the NBA finals and 3 made it to 3 won the actual NBA championship. So this is a team that 2nd in the NBA in scoring, led the NBA in rebounds, steals, blocks. Just so many impressive numbers across the board, and did it. The biggest stat is the Grizzlies were 20-5 without Ja Morant. Yeah. Now, people ask me what's the key there. Well, a lot of those wins were, they didn't play a lot of those wins didn't come against winning teams. They were beating up on some of the teams that they should beat in that stretch. So, and I'll just point this out: Grizzlies lost their last 3 games of the season without Ja in the lineup. So, I'm curious to see, guys. I think of all the awards that this team has played their way into contention for, Coach of the Year to me is maybe the strongest argument that they've got with Taylor Jenkins and what they've done.
Well, Miss T, you've told us their average age is 24. Well, when they get in the playoffs, will the Grizzlies get enormed by the bright lights, or will they come out and ball like they've always been doing during the regular season?
Blaine, I think that they're going to play close to the way they've been playing through the regular season. Now, the challenge is in the postseason, the game slows down a little bit, and this is a team that thrives off of blocking shots, getting rebounds, steals, and getting their offense running back the other direction. That's why they get so many lobs and dunks and knock down some three-pointers in transition. And that's why they're so fun to watch. But bright lights, they had them a year ago. Think about this. They had to beat San Antonio. Now, granted, that game was in Memphis. They had to knock off Greg Popovich and the Spurs to advance. And then they go to Golden State and beat The Warriors, Steph Curry played in that game, okay? They may not have had Klay Thompson, but they had Curry, and they won that game in Golden State to earn the 8th seed and oust the Warriors from the playoffs. And then they had a number one, they had to go take on the number 1 seed, the Utah Jazz, and they got a win on them. So, they've seen some of those bright lights. It's not like they're walking into the playoffs, having no clue how to handle this. They've been there, done that to an extent, and now they're going to have to deal with the pressure of starting Saturday at 2:30, hosting either Minnesota or the Los Angeles Clippers.
Well, with Teresa Walker, Hall of Fame writer.
All right, Teresa covers everything, so we're going to hit a little bit of everything before she goes. While the Grizz are preparing for a playoff game, Preds are still trying to get into it. They got a point last night against Pittsburgh, but, man, they really needed that win.
Boy, did they need that win. They need to make some hay here as they have, I think, a 5-game homestand starting tomorrow night with Edmonton. I mean, they've got such a tough schedule down the stretch. The NHL tweeted out the Western Conference stuff, and they've got more teams that are in the playoff picture as of now than Dallas Stars. Trying to chase down the Wild and the Blues seems almost impossible. So trying to hold on to that first spot in the wild card, you don't want to fall to 2 and end up having to face Colorado. The other thing, you don't want to slip out of it entirely. Yeah. I mean, this team has had such a strong season, with so many, career years. They need to take care of business, and they're going to be kicking themselves. They blew a 2-1 lead yesterday, had a 3-on-1 in the overtime situation and could not score. And on Saturday, it was just, John Hines said it was average, and it was so average it was kind of boring. But that was another game where they had a chance to take a lead, and then they give up 2 empty net goals in the final 67 seconds, 17 seconds apart, to just turn a tight game they had a chance to win into a blowout loss. So they need to snap out of it a little bit.
Well, and you mentioned guys having career years. It's like 2 guys have already broken the goal scoring record, the team record. Roman Josi is scoring at a rate that we haven't seen from a defenseman in years. And then a bunch of other individuals have literally all set their scoring records. Tanner Jeannot is the highest goal scoring rookie. It's amazing how many guys are doing this stuff.
It is, and yet, as great as this season has been and as much fun as the season has been to watch, we look at this situation, and they've got a 1-point lead on the first wild card, and, that's the thing, that they're in a situation where forget about playing their way into the postseason. They are there now.
Yeah.
And the one thing that we've seen in the past so many times, if you can get going, if you can get on a run, then you can, carry that into the postseason. And the Predators need to try to get hot and keep it going now.
Well, Teresa, thanks for keeping it going with us. Always great catching up with you. People can follow you at Teresa M. Walker, again, with the Associated Press. So there's always good sports stuff, always good news stuff on your feed. And we always appreciate when you share some of your time with us. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Miss T.
My pleasure, and follow me. I'll be in Memphis on Saturday.
I'm expecting some food pics, just so you know, okay? So you hit Gus's or somewhere, I better see pictures.
Not about the game, but the food.
No, I want to see pictures of food. She eats like I do. All right, T, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. When we come back, mock draft season, Jim Wyatt doing the thing he does on the Titans website where he takes all the mock drafts. You won't be surprised at which position is first. It might make you mad. There's 3 positions that are tied for second. One of these will blow your mind. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'll explain it. Now, explain it, Mickey. Blaine and Mickey 1045, The Zone. So Jim Wyatt touring the mock drafts. It's a big Jim Wyatt thing. Lonzo says they can't go old. This is in the Zone TV chat. By the way, you can tweet us at Blaine and Mickey. You can call us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, 615-737-1045, or you can join the Zone TV chat. Scott says in the Zone TV chat, I love your show, guys. And we say we love you, Scott.
Oh, thank you.
Medicinal Mystic says, hello. Lonzo says they can't go old lineman with the first round pick again. Well, this is what the old Jim Wyatt mock draft tour says. I didn't write down all the names, but I wrote down the positions and how many of each one. So I would imagine both of you guys could guess what's the runaway position that most of the mock drafters say they're not person.
I have not seen
position.
it either, by the way.
I hadn't seen it.
O-line.
Yeah, I was supposed to. I would go O-line. Second would be wide receiver, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, you're on to something. O-line is number 1. 11 O-line picks. And it's
11?
different guys.
Out of what? Did he do 30 this time?
30.
Okay.
So hopefully I did it. I got my math all right. 11 O-linemen. To me, this is where it gets super interesting. 3 positions tied for second. The one that Blaine said, wide receiver with 5.
Oh.
Quarterback with 5.
Whoa.
And it was 4 different guys. Howell, somebody had him taking Howell at 26. A Corral, Malik Willis, who we found out had a top 30 visit here. Two votes for Kenny Pickett. I did write down the quarterbacks.
Not one Ritter?
No. I did see a mock draft this morning, though, that had them taking Ritter at number 90 with their third-round pick. Ritter at 90.
Oh, so that accuracy issue got him down to third round?
90, where that rascal was.
Well, I was 214.
You turned out okay. You didn't have to have accuracy, though. It wasn't about your accuracy.
I did have problems with my accuracy.
Okay, here's the one that surprised me the most. And this has got Titans fans just tied up in knots. So 5 quarterback drafts, 5 receivers, which I couldn't believe it was only 5. Same number as inside linebacker picks.
Oh.
And all the picks were only 2 people because there's only 2 guys there. It's Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean. That's the 2. Devin Lloyd from Utah, Nakobe Dean from Georgia.
Do they not know that we have
It's like
Cunningham and Long?
It's like they don't know that.
Well, you know what they're thinking about is we lost Evans as well as Brown.
Yep.
That's what they're thinking. And they're just seeing that, saying they're going to go linebacker, which, man, that would be going to have to really find some space to play. But they did have some injury issues last year outside of, Cunningham being here. So 3 of the guys, Long and Brown and Evans, all had somewhat of some injury history there. Got Monty Rice, who was injured, who will be back. Typically, you're just going to go with I wouldn't be upset about it, but I'm like, okay, is Long now benched? Yeah. Because you're paying too much money to Cunningham. Sometimes economics plays a part in who plays.
100% that rascal. And
so if you take the best player on the board and he's your highest rated player, whatever pick you are, if you're still 26 or wherever you're at, I wouldn't be shocked, especially for Dean.
Yeah, we had a discussion about him before the show.
Mr. Dean is the dean of all classes and linebackers. Those linebackers, man, from Georgia, man.
Yeah, on the dean's list.
Yeah, he's on the dean's list. That's even better.
I think I made that one time in college. I think I made it one time.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't make the what's the requirement for dean's list? Do you know? Because I made high honor roll. That's 3.5 or higher. I was so like, yeah, baby. Stop that. And I was not taking no fluff classes like Mickey.
100%. When I made it, I had like intro to folklore and speed reading. 100%.
Speed reading. I probably needed speed reading.
I told Blaine one day I was the master of blow-off classes. The ones that you just have to soak up the hours. Oh, my gosh.
I couldn't be messing around. But what I did do, though, by taking those, I only took 12 hours during season, and I always took 15 in the off season. I mean, in the springtime. So.
Yeah, you wanted to go to summer school, too. And I was like, nope, I don't read in the summer.
They wouldn't let me. They was like, oh, you don't need to go to summer school.
Nah, I'm allergic to books in the summer. No books.
You're
I'm allergic to books in the summer.
He said he's allergic to books in the summertime.
Oh, no, 100%. Once it gets to be May, do not show me a book again until like September.
I was expecting Lucas to say something like that at
No way.
25.
No, I'm trying to read more. I need to read
Did
more.
you
Right,
take summer
right.
school?
No, I never did.
No way, dude.
Because he was up there partying to the tardy. And working too.
I was there in the summer, but no, not much school.
I told Blaine this. I tried it twice. Like after my first year, I went to one summer school class. I fell asleep. I woke up at the end. I never went back. I went straight to the drop ad and I dropped it. So like 3 years later into my 5-year undergraduate career, I go like between my 4th year and my 5th year, and I sat there for about 30 minutes. And it's long classes because you go every day for like, 2 hours or whatever. And at one point, teacher's like, any questions? I was like, I don't have any questions, but I'm making a life choice here. There's no way I can do this. Y'all have a great one. And I got up and
Announced to the
walked
class.
out. I just checked out.
Hey, man, well, we got something in common. We both for 5 years, and we're both sitting in the same spot, so it didn't really matter.
No, I was like, hey, no disrespect here, but
No
I can't do
disrespect
this.
to your class.
But this is not for me. I'll see you in the fall.
Well, you made the dean's list.
One time.
One time.
Whatever it was, I made it one time. So 5 votes for inside linebacker before we go. 2 votes for edge, 2 picks at edge, 1 defensive lineman, and maybe the biggest waste of all, one guy had the Titans taking a running back.
I knew it. Was it Brees Hall out of Iowa State?
I'll have to look again because I had that open. It was Jim Wyatt's tour of the mock drafts.
Oh,
There was a
my.
Sports Illustrated mock last week
That's it.
that had Brees Hall of Iowa State to the Titans at 26.
Okay, that
Running
has
back.
to be at the Sports Illustrated guy because I remember thinking, what in the heck has gone on with Sports Illustrated?
So then now everybody's going to blow up Lucas now. What position group should the Titans take with the first round pick if they stay at 26? Yeah.
We can start the second hour with that.
Yeah.
What position group would tick you off, Tim, if they took
maybe
it?
that was just that's even
What
better.
would make you mad if they took this position? And you don't need to say kicker. I mean, like a real takeable position. Let us know. 615. It is Brees Hall, by the way. It is the dude from Sports Illustrated, Daniel Kelly, if you guys want to find him and tweet at him. Brees Hall's a fine running back, but you have to be bleeping kidding me. We'll be right back.
It is 2 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Pre-draft visits continue as we lead up to the 2022 NFL Draft in Vegas in the final weekend of April. Tight end visits around the league. One of them visiting with the Titans. Former San Diego State tight end Daniel Bellinger visiting with the Two-Tone Blue, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. Bellinger participated in the Senior Bowl in February in Mobile. Some college hoops news from Sunday. Tennessee forward and former five-star prospect Brandon Huntley Hatfield announced Sunday he is entering the transfer portal. Huntley Hatfield averaged 4 points and 3 rebounds per game in his freshman season. And the Atlanta Braves remain at SunTrust Park tonight after splitting a 4-game series against Cincinnati to open up the year. They will start a 3-game set against Washington. It is a 6:20 first pitch. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. This just showed up on my Twitter during the commercial break.
Frank Vogel got fired?
Oh, no, we're going to do Ding Dong of the Week at 2:20, and there's more Ding Dong candidates this week than we.
What?
It is. Dude, it's like a hostess factory. There's so many Ding Dongs.
Yeah, my Ding Dong is tied in with the Lakers thing.
Your Ding Dong is tied in with the Lakers. This just showed up at Titans Fanatic on Twitter. Titans Fanatic tweeted this. Or he or she, I don't know if it's he or they. I don't know. Titans Fanatic on Twitter. Just out of the blue. This was from earlier today. 2000 Tennessee Titans defense among the best ever.
2000?
2000.
Oh.
Yeah, Blaine Bishop. It's kind of crazy. Blaine Bishop was on that defense.
Oh.
And then he's got these points. Allowed fewer points. All right, sit down if you're not sitting down, because you don't know this, but you're about to know this. All of you out there. Lucas, you're about to know this. You are sitting down. The 2000 Titans defense, this is per Titans Fanatic. I'm not fact-checking, but I believe Titans Fanatic, allowed fewer points than the 85 Bears and the 02 Bucks. Allowed the second fewest points of any NFL defense since 2000. One of 7 defenses to allow less than 200 points in a 16-game season. Now, think about that. Allowed the third fewest points ever in a 16-game season. Dude,
Yeah.
that is you and your teammates.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. But nobody, if you say 2000, everybody's going to say Ravens defense.
Huh? Right.
And they were number
Ravens.
1 in some other categories, by the way, but we were pretty good. But I don't want to. I have to keep saying that so Lucas could realize that we were pretty good, like dominating good. We had some really elite players at every level. So yeah, we played well as a unit too. By the way. Yep. Everybody made their sacrifices so we could be heroes together instead of zeros, and that means playing unselfishly. That's if I wanted to be, I didn't want to play in the box half the time. Nah, no can do.
But you did.
Yeah, they said, "This is where you gonna be. You want to be here or you want to be at home?" Yeah, I said, "I don't know. I don't want to be back in Baltimore Terrace."
Was your mom still there in 2000?
Nah,
no, you didn't have to go back.
I moved in.
You
middle
moved
school.
on up. I got you.
We moved in middle school when she worked for the government.
No, I got
She
you.
was a computer programmer for Fort Benjamin Harrison.
Well, she was programming computers when I didn't know anybody who was programming computers.
Yeah,
Oh, she was ahead of her time.
yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
I'd never seen a computer but the times that we're talking about.
Yeah, we went from pretty much the outhouse to the in the house.
2000 defense. Hey, that's some pretty good facts because people talk about the 85 Bears like the Steel Curtain or Doomsday. Like that's
It was elite.
that's elite.
And more games than the 85 Bears, right? Or were
No,
they?
it was
it
in
was
the
16
It was
then.
16 and
16 happened in, you can check my math, 1978.
oh, I didn't realize it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was much later than that.
No, it was 19. I'm usually right about those things. We're pretty close. So 19.
Yep.
I don't
Good
claim to be
question.
right about much, but things that happened 40 years ago, I seem to be right about. Same year
78. Yep.
Okay. Same year that A Taste of Honey won the Grammy.
right.
That's right, that we got into last week. We were out here high-fiving about that. 1978 for 16 games. Because at the time, because OJ's 2,000-yard season came in 73. He had 2,003 yards. He scored 23 touchdowns, right? I believe, are both.
I thought he did it in 14 games.
He did it in 14. That was in 73. So when that came out, one thing about the NFL, like, they don't care. No, man, 16 games, 2 more games worth of money.
Yeah.
Next
you're
guy,
talking about, like, if you compare it to baseball.
They don't.
Talking about it was so different.
You talk, oh, gosh, they don't care.
Yeah.
And in baseball, you're like, we're going to shorten if you said, if we made Lucas the commissioner, Mr. Short Attention Span Theater, and he was like,
I'm right there with him.
We need to cut like 20 of these games.
Oh, I want to cut like 35.
People would lose their minds.
I know.
Do you understand? You would be the most hated person to baseball fans. They would freak out.
Oh, I want to shorten the season so bad.
But the NFL's like, no, more. Think about that. You and Lucas are like, nah, it's too many games for baseball. And we're all like, they're going to get to 20 NFL games. We know it.
Yeah, I don't want it to be that way, but yeah,
you know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to lengthen the roster numbers too. If we're going to keep doing this, it needs to be like 60, 65 guys on the team.
Yeah, but they're going to say that's part of the whole drama. See how much you can survive. They'll say you can have 3 quarterbacks or something. That's about it.
Yeah, extra old linemen maybe, 3 quarterbacks. Keep an extra quarterback. Man. Just keep an extra quarterback on us. You can pay him. That's fine with us. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you can have an extra old lineman. Speaking of that, that's the question. What is the hated position that you don't want the Titans to draft? Position group. Is that how you want to word it?
No, I think that's fair. And I thought about this a lot because I told you last year, I sat here and I backed myself into a corner because I was going to throw a brick at a TV set if they took all.
Yeah, I was really nervous for your TV.
I know you were. I was thinking like, okay, which one of my TVs is the oldest?
Right.
Because I'm going to have to make a bit out of this if I do it. And they're all old.
You could have just threw it off your lanai.
What I was going to do is go to the thrift store and just buy like the old big TV and like take it out of the parking lot and like, look at this, I'm so mad.
Oh my!
Take a brick down there and throw it. All I can think about is this year. I haven't honed in on a position because I know they need a receiver. We know that they do. They need a receiver.
Need an offensive guard.
They're missing 2 starters on the offensive line.
Right,
they need a guard and a tackle. So I can't be mad if they take an old lineman. I can't. I can't be mad.
It's because it's not sexy. You know, it's not the person who you know their name and how good they are.
Flashy stats.
Where they went to school. I mean, it's hard.
It's going to be a big
I'm right
dude.
there with them, though. I want them to go receiver. Yeah, I do.
I want a fast receiver. And I know you always say don't get caught up in that.
They don't have to be
complete
small.
receiver.
I
don't have to be small. I want somebody who can just blow the top off the defense. I've been saying this for years. I would love a fast receiver. Here's where I am. If they draft an injured guy, I might throw a brick through my TV.
So Jameson Williams, you won't.
And I love that guy.
I do too.
But you got Robert Woods. How long till he's 100%? What if they say, okay, October 1st? Or you're just going to burn a month of the season if you got 2 injured receivers? AJ and NWI? Dez? What are you going to do then?
No, one of those youngsters that they drafted last year got to step it up.
They
got another guy on their team called Fitzpatrick. He says he's Fitzmagic.
Well, we didn't get to see much of that magic last year. They cut that rascal, and after training camp.
Yeah, maybe it'll be better. He got in the game. He looked okay. He got him a touchdown.
He did get him a touchdown. One more.
Kind of like how Lucas was when he first started doing the boards.
We get a text from people, hey, man, I can hear y'all in the commercial, things like that.
Yeah.
Hey, look at him now, though. Our son's all grown up. Mm-hmm. John in Clarksville's all grown up. He's got a question for Blaine, it sounds like. John, what's going on? John, you there? Hey, man.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. From what I read, you guys ran a lot of the 46 defense.
Correct.
But other than the 46, what did you run? Was it, a 4-3 or what was it?
Yeah, I would say we were 4-3. Mm-hmm.
Okay. One other question. Was it like the Dallas 4-3 where the middle linebacker was still, inside, or did you guys run it like a over and under?
We moved him around, but I could say it was just in general talking, right at the middle linebacker spot. But we did a lot of over and under. That was more so for our D linemen, not necessarily where the linebacker was. He was always somewhere within the middle linebacker spot, even on those occasions.
Well, I tell you what, I'll buy you two lunch or dinner sometime if I could sit down and pick your brain on some things about football.
Sure, you a coach?
I used to be. I'm a retired coach. I coached high school football for 35 years. One of the places I was at was Oakland, and
Oh, man.
we ran our variants of the
46.
46, and we caused a lot of people a lot of problems with it. And yeah, I would love just to learn it. My son is a coach now, and I would just sort of pass the knowledge on to him.
Oh, okay. We'll give.
Yeah, appreciate the
Look
call,
at your
John. Thank
info.
you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that 46 at that time in the era, that's when you. It was really a run stopping defense, so that probably wouldn't play as much a part in today's game. But we did go against a lot of 3 wide receivers because that's the way a lot of people had to attack it. And I covered the slot receiver.
Right.
46, I was on the weak side. I was the weak side. Basically, I'm going to call myself a linebacker. And then when anybody adjusted, whether they went to the weak side or the strong side, I was the adjuster. So if the running back motion out of the backfield, if a wide receiver lined up in the slot, I was that guy. I covered him.
So, in other words, for people who are listening at home, that meant if decisions had to be made, you were the one making the decisions and adjusting on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
I had to know all the adjustments.
Right. You had to know where everybody else was and what they were doing to plug yourself into the right spot every time. Yeah.
So then, as we all know, that's how I understand just playing the nickel position. That's kind of what I am now at that position. Once you go 3 wides, is how many different reads you have, and that's a very difficult deal if you haven't ever done that before. Reading run pass keys as well as knowing where to feel on away runs to you, play action pass, where's your eyes supposed to be, whether it's the offensive tackle there to see run pass key reads. Naturally, you got to have vision to the quarterback, but you're not actually watching quarterback. The linemen as a safety always tell you what's happening for us, and then you get your eyes to the quarterback.
Right.
So, and then the release of the receiver also helps too. If he's coming to block you, then you must have contained, and you may have to throw him to get inside too. So you got to make a play. So it was a very difficult position. And as time went on, then we had Donald Mitchell kind of played the nickel spot. We didn't run the 46 very much once we got into the 2000s.
He was one of the first guys, just as a fan, that I ever remember people saying, he's the nickel.
Yeah.
Where fans talked about it. Like you could just go anywhere and you talk about Donald Mitchell and people would go, he's the nickel.
I just talked to him about a week ago.
D-Mitch.
Yeah, D-Mitch, he went to SMU. He lives in Dallas. He's fascinating, really, his skill set, because he was very physical, very aggressive. He could run with the wind, very quick. He was the typical what you want your nickel guy. Had good size, 5'11". He could feel on the run, let alone he could play the pass. So we really had him. His addition to our team really helped us, and he was the guy we matched up with Keenan McCardell, mostly in the slot when it became the slot. Samari and D. Walk stayed on the outside. So everybody had their different styles of what they were, but he was aggressive. In a crunch, I think we played him at safety at times. Yeah, he was that aggressive. He had that kind of ability. Yeah, he played a couple games at safety. He was a fascinating player. And he could play outside corner too.
Yeah.
That's why when I see screen, I think of Donald Mitchell, but more physical.
Okay.
But more physical and bigger, of course.
Yeah.
But
Oh, wow.
yeah, he could play anywhere you wanted him.
But now I know why you like Screen so well, because it reminds you of another guy you like real well.
Yeah,
that explains
I really
everything.
love Donald Mitchell, man. Those versatile players who are tough. And not only that, he had all those skill sets, but he was mentally tough. And that's a whole nother ball game. Things happen in the game and you get beat, you miss a tackle or what have you. It didn't bother him. It didn't faze him.
Rico says kind of what I said, pick a cheerleader for all I care, as long as she doesn't have an ACL. All right, ding dong of the week coming up next. Also, Jamie from Nashville has a defense question. Jamie, hold. We will come straight to you. Then we'll get into our ding dong of the week segment. You got a ding dong you want to share? There are a whole bunch of choices this week. Mark Spain, Real Estate Hotline, 615-737-1045. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. We'll get into our ding-dong of the week here in just a second. Jamie in Nashville was kind enough to hold through the break. We all have ding-dongs to share. Eric is on the line. We'll get to Eric's ding-dong as well. You want to jump in the Zone TV chat or Twitter at Blaine and Mickey, or just call us 615-737-1045. I'm sure a lot of you, if you're a basketball fan or just a fan of people doing the right thing, you will want to include the Lakers this week into your ding-dongery. Jamie in Nashville will lead us off in this segment, though. Hello, Jamie.
Oh, hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
And Blaine, you may know more about this. I've read and heard before that, Tom Landry ran the flex defense, and I think it was sort of like every other lineman was set back a half a yard, and it would create gaps for the linebackers. And they said nobody teaches it anymore because Tom Landry was the only one who knew how to run it.
That probably was true. I think I was in middle school, but I do remember that because I was, at that time, a Cowboys fan growing up because I played Little League Cowboys. So, the flex defense and Harvey Martin, L. Too Tall Jones, Randy White. Man, they had some dudes. Yeah, Waters, Everson Walls. I can go down the list.
Oh, Cliff Harris.
Yeah, Gary Downs, whose son is the wide receiver for North Carolina. Gary Downs.
Thomas Hollywood Henderson.
Yeah, he was there too.
Turned out to have some bad habits.
Drew Pearson.
Harvey Martin, Randy White, the Manster.
Yeah, they had some guys. Boy.
Oh, my gosh. I mean,
all over the place.
We just said that was 40 years ago, and we can name those guys like they played a game on Sunday.
The caller's right, though. I don't think a lot of people knew how to teach that flex defense. They never kind of caught on with other teams doing it, too, by the way. I didn't see it. I don't recall any other teams running that.
Isn't that crazy, too? Because it's not like the Cowboys weren't successful forever with that. And people are like, we can't learn that. Just hold on to it. That can be y'all's thing. Let's do this. Ding Dong of the Week, brought to you by our friends at Mark Spain Real Estate. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing. Or as we like to say, don't be a ding dong. Use Mark Spain. Eric, always first up for this segment. Eric, how in the world are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, guys. Guys, I actually have two ding-dongs. And my first ding-dong, actually, I was kind of surprised. The only reason I didn't say it because I thought somebody else would say it. But this is actually a ding-dong that was not used last week. So here goes. My first ding-dong has to go to Hope Solo for getting pulled over behind the wheel of a car, passed out with the two kids in the back of her car.
Ooh.
Of course, she made the statement was, she said, I love my kids. And I said, well, if you love your kids, how can you do something like that? And if I'm not mistaken, she, a while back, was in some trouble because she allegedly beat up somebody. I don't know, don't remember the specific details behind that, but she gets my first ding-dong. But my other ding-dong, it involves the Lakers, but and I'll let other people get to the major stuff on it. But this goes to an ESPN analyst named Jordan Cornette. He does college basketball. He used to play for Notre Dame and also does basketball for the ACC. But apparently they had a discussion about LeBron James, talking about LeBron James and his situation with the Lakers and how much culpable is responsible for the Lakers' mess. He basically made the statement that he said that LeBron, he got the Lakers a championship, and he's an all-time great Laker. And I said, what? My eyes were rolling when he said that, because I'm telling you, he did get your championship in the bubble, but the home fans never benefited from it. The other two times in the playoffs, they got bounced in the first round, and there were two other times they did make the playoffs. I mean, you can say he's an all-time great Cavalier for what he does for Cleveland. You may even say he's an all-time great Heat, although he'll probably never be beloved like Dwayne Wade was. But to say that he's on the level, like he's all-time loved like Shaq and Kobe and Magic and Kareem, I ain't down with that. And you know he's not going to be beloved and put no statues up for him when he passes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the scoring next year for all-time leading scorer. So Jordan Cornette gets my other ding-dong. Y'all take care.
Thank you, Eric.
Wow.
Lakers-related ding-dongs.
That was a long ding-dong.
It's a very long one. And that's not even the Laker reasons that the related ding-dongs that I was thinking about, although the Lakers didn't get his ding-dong. I would be curious for all you hardcore Lakers fans out there, as I know they're everywhere. Mm-hmm. Do you regard LeBron as a great Laker? Because he's LeBron, and he's on the Lakers. LeBron is great. He's on the Lakers.
How long has he been there?
Is this year 3?
Do you get
Year
called
4?
great because you won a championship, though?
We looked this up, Buck and I. He's been there since 2018, and we couldn't believe it'd been that long.
19, 20. So this is year 4.
Yeah.
18, 19. Okay.
And he's got a championship with that, regardless if it was in the bubble or not.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the criteria, what makes you a great. Just because it's L.A., I would probably say I don't know if he's going to get a statue or anything like that. I would say no. But Laker Gate, 4 years, one championship. Yeah. He didn't go to playoffs like twice, right? Out of that. So
They're home this year.
yeah. So yeah, I think he may squeak in there just because he got the championship. I don't know though. What do you think the criteria should be?
Boy, when you talk about their history, they're one of those teams. It's greats of greats.
Right.
I mean, it is.
Typically, you're there a long way.
Yeah, Kareem, and people don't remember, Kareem won a title with the Bucks before he ever went to the Lakers. Kareem had a career before he went to the Lakers, but then he played for the Lakers for 100 forevers after that. And Jerry West, who's literally the logo of basketball, and Elgin Baylor, who was kind of a clown GM with the Clippers, but was a fantastic basketball player, and so many more.
You got the Magic, Worthy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we hadn't even gotten to the 80s yet. Yeah.
So I don't know. NBA, they make up their own rules.
Lonzo says, hell to the no, he isn't a great Laker. So he won't. I would just say LeBron's a great player, and he spent some time on the Lakers. It's kind of how I would categorize it.
It's hard to
He's a
argue
great
with
player, and he was on the Lakers for a minute, or 4 years, as we all just found out. Lucas, you want to weigh in with the ding-dong for the good people of Middle Tennessee?
Yeah, I got to take the Lakers for leaking to ESPN that Frank Vogel would be fired and that he would be informed of the decision on Monday so that he could be asked about it in a press conference after a game on Sunday and say, I wasn't told bleep about that, but I'm going to enjoy this win, and we'll let tomorrow be tomorrow, basically is what he said in so many words.
So I'm just trying to get the view from the Lakers. Why would they leak that to Wojo and just say on national TV and they haven't even told him yet?
The idea of leaking that, it's one thing to leak that he's going to get fired, but to leak the fact that he's going to be informed on Monday is so stupid to me.
That is.
I just couldn't. That was one thing I couldn't wrap my head around.
It's like Blaine said this at the beginning. We were talking about his teammate passing, who was GB, Gary Brown, and also Dwayne Haskins. And you did make you just kept things moving. But things that people had said or tweeted, or the Gilbrandt appearance where he was on the radio, where basically people didn't talk about him like they were people.
Yeah.
And it's the same when somebody gets fired.
Yep.
I mean, and you're like, Frank Vogel, he's got all the money in the world. Well, he's got assistants, and he's got people who are part of his staff. They don't have the same money that he does. They all get fired too.
And I just wonder how that happens. Like, this is not the Lakers' first rodeo or any organization at this point in time in sports. For you not to inform the coach, hey, we're going down this road. We're probably going to go in a different direction after this game. So just to give you a heads up, that way you still have an out if you decide not to. So them to leak it is just crazy. It's just like players in the NFL are getting informed their release via social media.
Right.
Yep.
It's like, man, you didn't have the gall to call the guy who went to war with you and say, hey, whether it's the coach, general manager, whoever represents the organization, and give you a call and say, thanks, but we got to go in a different direction, especially if a guy's been with your organization probably, let's just say, 4 more years. I should think you should do it for everybody. It doesn't matter to me, but at least a year with the team. I mean, I don't understand why. It's almost, to me, I feel like that's cowardly. And that's just kind of how I view it. And some people, to me, you can't be a man or woman and face up that you're going to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's no debate. You're the owner of the team. So it's not like let's have a discussion. You made your decision. All I can do is accept your decision. But have the respect for me to tell me in my face, or at least over the phone or whatever. You can do FaceTime now. So it's almost like you're, so it's just like that appalls me really. In sports that people do that, whether you're a coach or a player.
Think about what Vogel steered them through over the last, and I'm not like a staunch Frank Vogel supporter, but the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash and the tragedy that was, steering that franchise through that had to be difficult to lead right into the pandemic.
Yep.
And then the bubble, and then you win a title in the bubble.
Yep.
He was never secured with a long-term deal. I don't think he ever felt fully supported with the franchise, and now it's ending in this probably the most disrespectful manner possible. I don't know if it's hubris as an organization that, you should feel lucky to even be coaching the Lakers, right? That money shouldn't even be an issue. I don't know. I think it feels like a vibe of, we're the Lakers. We can do this.
And nobody's
Good luck.
going to say anything.
Right. And we'll fix it. The next thing will fix it, and we'll be right back to Showtime again. And it's probably not going to be the case. I mean, they got problems, and they got these old guys under contract, and
They can't get out of. And
yeah, I mean,
the young guy just keeps getting hurt. AD, I mean, if you
yeah,
want to consider
the young guy for them, yeah.
Yeah.
Although two guys from Northeast Arkansas both had huge games last night. One had a triple-double, the other Reeves had a triple-double, and Monk had like 41 points in that game.
I didn't know Monk was from Arkansas.
He's from Lepanto, Arkansas,
Yeah.
which is right down the road from where I'm from.
Tell him about his brother, who was big-time football player, wide receiver.
Marcus Monk still
Ooh.
holds a bunch of the
Wide
receiving
receiver.
records at Arkansas.
At A-State. Oh, at Arkansas.
He was a
Arkansas.
Razorback, blew out his knee, came back too soon.
First-round pick, guarantee.
Blew out his knee, came back too soon, never recovered. Lucas, this dude on one leg, then went and played basketball in Europe.
Didn't even play back. That's what I'm saying. This guy.
Just because he could. He played a little bit for the Razorbacks in basketball.
Man,
His brother,
I couldn't wait to see him in the
Marcus.
NFL.
And I think Marcus represents Malik.
Was
now.
that the time they had those three running backs too at the same time? No, or is that what afterwards? The one that went to the Cowboys.
They had Felix Jones and Darren McFadden. Felix Jones was the oldest looking young guy I've ever seen. Felix Jones has to look 80 now because he looked 65 in college. And the White Rhino, Peyton Hillis, who was on the cover of Manning or of Madden football. He was on the cover.
He went high to he went to the Broncos. Where'd he go?
He played for like the Broncos and the Browns. He was more.
He
of
never
a
panned
journeyman.
out to
He
what
never
people
panned
thought he
out.
was.
Felix
I knew
Jones
he was
never
more
panned out.
fullback /
Yep.
H-back guy than more.
He was
tailback.
one of those guys that everybody got hurt. He had like a 7-game stretch where he had a great run, and then he kind of went back to who
Well,
he
he
was.
reached his peak. I mean, he just
And Felix Jones was fast, but never real. He only played
Never
like 4
stayed
years for
healthy.
the Cowboys. Couldn't stay healthy. Darren McFadden was one of those guys that if he'd stayed healthy, like we'd be talking about him like we talk about the greats.
Yeah.
He was a combination of size and speed and all the things. And you know me, I mean, I'm not necessarily a follower of the Razorbacks, even though I'm from Arkansas, but that dude was special. I mean, those guys were all unbelievable in college. Vibe runners, to answer the LeBron question, this is in the Zone TV chat. Derek Fisher is the bar. If Fisher isn't a great, LeBron isn't.
Derek Fisher's not a great.
I don't know. He's saying that.
The Lakers. It wasn't like he was a great player, but he was on those championship teams they had, right?
He was.
And he hit some decent. I mean, he hit some big shots. I mean,
He was the
left
guy who
hand.
hit big shots for
well,
him.
him
Yeah.
and Robert Horry. I mean, they had a nice nucleus there that supporting cast. And then he went into coaching. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Well, yeah, if he's not, then LeBron's not on there because Fisher has championships too.
Oh yeah, he's got a handful of them.
Kurt Rambis a great.
He had championships and glasses.
God,
He's also part of the personnel deal that's cooking.
Kurt Rambis was a great man. I love Kurt Rambis. Man.
Google Kurt Rambis kids and watch him get decapitated in a game. Remember that against the Celtics? Yeah, and it wasn't even a flagrant foul. I don't think it was just two shots.
man.
Or take the ball out. My ding dong of the week, certainly the Lakers for what they did to Frank Vogel, where literally he'd been fired on Twitter and got asked about it in the post game news
I had
conference.
no idea.
Like, I don't know. I'm just going to enjoy this win. Central Florida and Memphis played baseball. A Central Florida guy hit a home run. And then you wouldn't remember. Do you remember the George Brett Pine Tar thing where he hit a home run against the Yankees and the Yankees had Billy Martin, I guess at the time, had his bat looked at and your bat could only have enough pine tar that was like as wide as home plate. If it had more pine tar than that, it was an illegal bat. That happened in a college baseball game. So like the catcher from Memphis said, look at the bat. There's too much on this composite bat.
So this was worse than the sticker falling off at the Tennessee Vanderbilt.
This was yesterday. So
I say
Lucas,
it's
did you
worse.
hear this? Okay, it's a home run for Central Florida. One of the Memphis people points out there's a lot of pine tar on this bat. They drop it down across the plate, call him out after he hit a home run. They George Bretted him, which you can Google that. That was a real thing that happened. But in the ensuing melee, Central Florida's coach got ejected. The Memphis pitcher started chirping at everybody, and they threw him out. And then after all that, they agreed to allow the home run anyway.
Was the bat fair or foul? Did they ever confirm if there was indeed?
Oh no, I had pine tar all over him.
Okay.
But they went over their own decision.
Offsetting penalties.
Yeah, but they went back later, and George Brett's home run later got allowed. Same thing happened. Just later on, they decided to count the home run, but by that time, they'd thrown out Central Florida's coach and Memphis's pitcher in a game. They completely lost control of it. And there's video, like Action News 5 or one of the Memphis TV stations. It happened in Memphis. Lonzo said, is that the game where George Brett came running out of the dugout pissed off? Yes, that was that game.
Oh.
He came. I've never seen somebody so mad. And it turned into that. The UCF coach went after the umps and then tried to go into the Memphis dugout. So they threw him out. Memphis's pitcher did the thing like, yeah, get out of here. And so then they threw him out too. And then they just randomly decided the bat's fine.
Never mind.
Just put a sticker on it. It's totally fine.
College baseball, man.
Hey, man, that all happened. I wanted to ask you guys this too. This happened last week because every time we start talking about people, is this guy Hall of Famer? Is that guy Hall of Famer? Somebody always brings up, well, how many All-Star games that guy make? How many Pro Bowls that guy make? When Manu Ginobili retired, I remember somebody saying, this guy's going straight to the Hall of Fame. And I remember looking, he had 2 times he made the All-Star game. Remember, he was a 6th man a lot for the Spurs. He went to the Hall of Fame. Now, I know he had a great international career, but, I mean, were you surprised that 2 All-Star games?
Look,
this
is where the argument then you broaden who else could get in there once they did that.
Yep.
Because then there's an argument for Robert Ory.
Yep.
People in that same ilk that, hey, man, I was on championship teams. I hit big shots continuously over and over and over again to help us win them. And he was also a Spur at some point in time and hit big shots with them as well, let alone the Rockets and the Lakers. So, yeah, that one there was a little puzzling. Not to say he doesn't deserve, but to me that then opens the window for some guys that weren't already in. So that's a little bit. But that's what happens. I mean, what can you do? Someone saw here about Bob Sanders, the safety coach. He was real nasty. He was defensive player of the year. I really firmly believe I gave the shorter safeties a shot of getting drafted. He was from Iowa as well, and he came in the league, and man, he really brought it. It was interesting to see if he could stay healthy just because of his size, but he was rocked up. But it eventually got on. I don't know. I think he might have played 7 years maybe. I think he won defensive player of the year. He was making plays all over.
That was like the only year he played 15 or 16 games. Mm-hmm. And then the one year he did it, he was the best. And this was. There was still Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, he was.
That was still a thing at this time. And Bob's, we're getting to the Zone TV chat. This safety for the Colts, Bob Sanders, how tall was he?
I would say about 5'8".
That dude.
Boy, he was a baller. Man, he could ball hawk as well as, got after it in the run game. So, yeah, man, he was big time. But I had my, ding dong, and mine was for Gil Brandt when he said that if he would have went to Ohio State one more year, he wouldn't have been walking on a bridge. I mean, really, bro? Come on, Gil. Come on, man. You can't be saying stuff like that about somebody's family and he died and all that. That's just crazy. So I can't even believe that happened. I can't imagine if I was sitting on air with him and he said something like that. I'm like, huh?
And those guys didn't check him on it.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, man, come on, man. You can't be saying that. I mean, you ain't got to be rude to him, but you get to be like, hey, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, it can't go there, man. This is a tough, tragic accident. Regardless of what happened, man. Geno deserve Hall of Fame for sure.
That's in the zone from B on the chat.
Does Robert Ory?
We were talking about Derek Fisher. He had 5.
Derek Fisher, 5 championships.
And Robert Ory had 7?
Yeah.
He had 7
they were just like Ginobili. Now, by the way, to me, Ginobili was just more of a scorer, so he contributed to his team probably, I would say, maybe a little bit more than those 2 guys. In that he should have been a starter, but the way he went about his game was, I'm a scorer, was a little bit different. So I'm not going to take nothing away from Ginobili. I like Ginobili's game, but it opened a window, as I said before, to other players saying, hey, Ginobili's in there. I think I got an argument.
Remember, there were people saying about Frank Gore, we only made 3 Pro Bowls. Is he really Hall of Famer? He got 16,000 yards.
Well, he's all-time leading rusher, or he's second, right?
He's third.
Top 3, yeah.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Yeah, and you could say he didn't have a Hall of Fame career, part of being a Hall of Famer to me is longevity.
Yep.
And he did it on, and people say, well, he didn't make his team better. Well, guess what he did do? He still kept stacking up yardage. So he did his part. That's all he could do. He can't help he was on sorry teams. He was stacking up yards, man. 16,000. They can't take him back.
No.
Third, to me, whenever you're in the top 10 of all time of anything in any sport,
Put you in.
yeah.
That's what that means.
It's just a no-brainer. Now, whether you get in first, second, or third is a whole nother debate, but you got to be in.
All right, when we come back, something happened in college athletics I've never heard of in my life. This is the wildest thing in college athletics I've ever heard. We'll tell you about it next.
Okay,
Blaine and
wait
Mickey.
till you tell me.
It's crazy. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. We may have to crack this discussion open one day, like who belongs in the Hall of Fame and who doesn't. Because we're getting responses to this.
From the NBA.
Like B says, Robert Horry has 7 rings. Of course he belongs in the Hall of Fame. We had like 7,000 points in his career, I think. But he did have 7 rings.
But he has some big shots.
A big shot.
Bob.
Yeah.
That's what they call him.
Here is a crazy story from Grambling Volleyball. Have you guys heard this?
This is what you were going to tell us?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
They hired a new coach for volleyball.
Men's or women?
Women's. They don't have men's volleyball.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you.
I don't know.
Oh, no. And this is a good economics lesson. No little school outside of like the West Coast, maybe, or the East Coast, where it's more popular, none of them have men's volleyball.
Wow.
Because it's more dude scholarships. And with Title IX, every sport you offer a dude a scholarship in, you have to equal it in women's sports. So let's say you said, we're going to start men's volleyball.
So this is just at the small school?
It has.
I mean, what do you mean? I mean, because you did that so
Like
fast.
UCLA has men's volleyball on the West
Ball
Coast.
State does. I mean,
they have men's volleyball.
Oh, they've had them since I've been there. We've
Oh,
always
wow.
been ranked.
Okay.
Always ranked, yeah.
That's almost unheard of.
Yeah, it just beat Pepperdine the other day because Pepperdine's always good.
Pepperdine's a powerhouse.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at. That's how I know. Because I
That's-
used to go sit there and be like, whoa, these dudes can jump.
Okay, that y'all should have recruited some of them. Just you talk about freaky athletes. Okay,
Ooh, yeah,
that
I
is
know.
so rare that like Ball State or Arkansas State or anybody like that
Oh,
would have
do
men's
y'all
volleyball.
don't have it?
Oh heck no.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have men's volleyball.
So women's
Won a
volleyball.
championship at one of these tournaments.
That's amazing. And you've talked about that before, and I'd forgotten because I was shocked then, and I'm still shocked. Grambling hires a new women's volleyball coach. 2 months after being hired, Chelsea Lucas is her name. She is cutting everybody on the team.
Oh, wait, I did see this.
There were 18 players. She cut all of them.
whole team.
Not going to keep you. She inherited a program that went 11-17 overall and 500 in conference play last year. She had 3 practices with the team and cut every one of them.
So what do you take from that? Why she cut them all?
All I can think of is this. I got a culture, and I'm going to establish my culture. And she wasn't saying that anybody seemed that they wanted to be. I'm not trying to make an excuse for her. All I can think of is 3 days of practice and her saying, none of these ladies are willing to do what it takes to succeed in my team culture. I don't know why else you would cut everybody. I don't know.
Well, some people would have said they're not good enough, but I was going to go down the road exactly what you said. Is that she didn't believe that they were changed. Now, I wanted to know who she followed. Was that some legend there? Was it somebody that had been there a long time? Because for you to feel that way after 3 practices that you're not buying into this program and then you have to let go of everybody, how does that count? Do they still continue to pay for their scholarships? Because then that becomes another question for your athletic director, and you went and did a bold move here and let everybody go. Yeah, you can say you're not buying into the culture, but it's also a part of you to get them to buy in. And 3 days that's not a lot of time for me. At least let it, whatever the off season is when you kind of gather, try to figure out who's buying in, who's not. And then, some people who are serious or don't, they don't buy in, they can go somewhere else. Just the entire team, man, that's cutthroat there.
Grambling's AD, Travion Scott, defended the move by pointing to the transfer portal. Just as the portal empowers student athletes, he said in a statement, our coaches are also empowered to make the decisions they deem necessary to advance their programs.
So that's how EMC went portal route.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, yeah, they can just portal somewhere else. I mean.
But every single one of them?
Yeah.
I mean, like every single one of the ladies, I'm sure, did not buy in. I mean, but it could happen. If she followed a legend, it'd have been there a long time. Or she didn't see the work that she wanted. I mean, I don't feel like y'all going all in here.
This is their athletic communications director, Brian Howard, said, I hate to say out with the old and in with the new, but obviously we don't want them to be cut loose of their scholarships or whatever they might look like that. At the end of the day, though, Coach Lucas has a goal, has a vision. We have a goal as an institution and a vision as well to win, and that's first and foremost. This article actually says 19. There are conflicting reports of how many people she cut.
Pretty cutthroat.
But you think about it.
But basically he was saying that they're still on scholarship, though.
Well, but I can tell you this: they can't afford to pay it. They'll pay for the rest of their spring,
semester.
and then it's, hey man, you got to go. Bye. Oh, speaking of that music means we got to go. Lucas just cut us.
You just cut
I
us,
would
bro.
never.
Oh man, we in trouble now, man. We gotta go find a school to take us.
I know our scholarships run out.
Yeah.
250, 330. So we got like 10 seconds left
My
till
allergies
tomorrow.
acting up.
We're going to get Blaine some eye drops for tomorrow. Jim Wyatt's going to take us through a tour of the mock drafts tomorrow.
Oh, can't wait.
Can't wait.
In the meantime, in between time, peace.